Hey Gecko fans, this is Wally with Supreme Gecko. Let's do some math, and if this is early morning for you, I apologize, but let's take, and I like round numbers, let's take 10 times 10. Well, I don't have my calculator, but I can figure out that's 100. If you had 10 Crested Geckos, and you got 10 babies from those Crested Geckos, you can expect 100 babies. If you're going to get more eggs, and normally you do during a season, you could have up to 20 eggs. Now we're talking 200 babies. So where are you going to put those babies? Are you going to put them in critter keepers? Are you going to put them in plastic tubs? Where are you going to put all those babies? Years ago, we solved this problem by creating our rack. We call it the baby rack. I love this rack. Now, if you take a look at it, you'll see that it's old. We built this rack about 20 years ago, about 15 or 20 years ago. And it's obviously showing some of the signs of age. We have spacers in here so the little guys can't get out, and you can see that some of the tubs are showing their age. I think it's about time to replace this whole rack. We built this rack back, again, 15 years ago or so, and I think we spent maybe $150. Now with the price of plywood and 2x4s now, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but we were at a reptile show recently and I priced out a rack similar to this and it was over $1,000. Now we heat this rack with heat cable and it works perfect. Every single tub on this rack has a heat cable next to it and the back of the tubs stay at around 80, 82 degrees and it's just perfect for the little ones. Now I can hear you asking already, how many tubs does this rack hold? 7 tubs per row. 11 rows. Again, my calculator says that it's 77 tubs. Now, a lot of these will have 2 from a hatch in the same tub, and that equates to 144. Incredible. We can fit almost 150 Crested Geckos in this rack if we had to. What's your next question? I'm sure that you're asking, how long do we keep the Crested Geckos in these tubs? Well, they start out in these tubs immediately after hatch, and they'll stay in these tubs for about a month, month and a half or so. Then we move them to 19 quarts. They stay together if they're from the same hatch during that whole time that they're in these tubs until they go into the 19s. And at the point that we put them into the 19s, we do separate them out individually. We have no issues whatsoever with any aggression from the Crested Geckos when they're small like this. Now, there's a couple of things that I just really love about these tubs. Number one, they're small, so it's easy to manage the Crested Geckos in here. We can feed the Crested Gecko diet, we can feed insects. The small Crested Geckos can find the food. Easy as that. Another thing that I really love about these tubs is that we put these vents on the front of the tubs, and that works out perfect. You can see that they're not perfectly round. We melted these about 15 years ago with a soldering iron. If I had to do it over again, I would put regular vents in here. But having the ventilation in the front like this allows us to mist this whole stand in less than a minute. Being able to mist it in less than a minute tells me that it's easy to do, so we're not going to miss a misting. Now at the beginning of the breeding season, we set these tubs up so that we're ready to accept the Crested Geckos as they hatch out. We put in a small styrofoam egg carton, cut up styrofoam egg carton. This one has a little bit of water on it. We're ready to accept a Crested Gecko in here. And a paper towel. Sometimes we put it on the bottom. Sometimes we wad up that paper towel and put it in the back. Ready to go for a Crested Gecko. It's as easy as that. I've thought about and tried plastic plants in here to add enrichment for the small Crested Geckos, but I always find them hiding under these styrofoam egg cartons. Now I want to show you this egg carton just real quick. You can see that it has little notches in it, and I cut up this egg carton. I can use the top or the compartments like this, but I cut it up and you can see that it has dips so that the Crested Gecko can get in there. But also these compartments have these little dips in there that hold water. It's almost like a watering dish. And I tell you what, it is super easy to clean. When we're ready to move the Crested Geckos to their new 19 quarts from these 6 quarts, we'll take those styrofoam egg cartons and we'll put it into 5-gallon buckets, a little bit of vinegar water, and a couple of days they're as clean as brand new. But I've also pre-cut a bunch of these egg cartons and they're ready to go. When we have a Crested Gecko hatch out, We put it in this 6-quart tub. We write the number of the adult on the one side, the date of hatching on the other side, and we give it an ID. And this one is CR22, meaning the year that it hatched out, and a sequential number 032. We are up to 36 so far, and we're just starting hatching Crested Geckos. This is going to be a very good year for us. What's really cool about this tape is that I can take it off of the 6-quart, I can put it right on that 19-quart, and if I ever put that animal into an adult enclosure, I can take the tape and move it right over as well. This stand has certainly seen its number of Crested Geckos. I bet you we've raised thousands of Crested Geckos in this stand, and it is ready to be rebuilt, probably in the year 2023 next year. But until then, we're going to get as much use out of it this year as we possibly can. You know, there's a lot to the care of Crested Gecko babies, including getting them to eat live foods. Make sure that you watch this video right here to get as much information about caring for your baby Crested Geckos as you possibly can. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next video.